Hello everyone, we are Group 12 and our aim is to make NISER more green. NISER's soil cannot support growth of many plants. It is apparent from the fact that most of the free land is either barren or covered with weeds and grasses. The soil here is sandy in texture and contains a lot of pores. The water that falls on the soil seeps down through these pores and is not retained. One way to solve this problem is to replace the soil here with healthier soil from anywhere else. Though this solution may sound simple, but it is actually very expensive. The other way is to engineer the soil by adding different substances, making it suitable of holding better quantities of water. There are a lot of substances that can be added to the soil, but our project's sole aim is to find the substances which are biodegradable and easily available, ensuring that soil is not harmed and we save a lot of money.
We have chosen ingredients which fulfill the following requirements: easy availability, low cost, and biodegradability. We found that the following substances fulfill all of the above requirements: vermiculite, sphagnum peat moss, coir, dried cow dung, natural SAPs, that is super absorbent polymers. Now we are exploring the mechanisms of how these substances work in water retention.
Vermiculite is a hydrous phyllosilicate mineral. It has a 2:1 structure. That means it has one octahedral chain between two tetrahedral chains. Vermiculite has a very high cation exchange capacity, and it is also known as CEC. CEC is the measure of how many cations can be retained on the soil particle surfaces. Cations holds water molecules by coordination bonds. So more the CEC, more water molecules will be retained on the soil particle surfaces. Vermiculite has also a vermiculite has a laminar structure. It is formed of innumerable layers, and between the layers, water molecules can be retained. This is the reason of vermiculite's high water holding capacity.
Sphagnum is a genus of approximately 380 accepted species of mosses, commonly known as peat moss. Accumulations of sphagnum can store water, with some species being able to hold 16 to 26 times as much water as their dry weight. The leaves consist of two kinds of cells. First, small green living cells, also known as chlorophyllous cells. Second, large clear structural dead cells, also known as hyaline cells. The latter have the large water holding capacity. It is used as a soil conditioner which increases the soil's capacity to hold water and nutrients by increasing capillary forces and cation exchange capacity. This is the reason why it is mostly sold as soil conditioner. Sphagnum can also act as a protector for succulents. As sphagnum can absorb water rapidly and maintain the moisture content, it allows the succulents to stay hydrated. Sphagnum moss is a plant that grows on the surface of soil or a swamp. Peat moss is the layer of decaying water saturated sphagnum moss that has sunk below the surface. It is the basis of swampland, forming over thousands of years. Although peat moss can be found in potting soils in nearly every gardening center in the world, harvesting peat moss is not a sustainable practice. It takes thousands of years of peat moss to develop, and harvesting it requires digging up bogs, which destroys the potential for regeneration of the swamp.
Coir strongly absorb water. This property is due in part the honeycomb-like structure of mesocarp tissue, which give it a high surface area per unit volume. Coir dust is also hydrophilic, which means that moisture spread readily over the surface. The extensive film of water that is produced give moist coir the property of capillarity. Capillarity is the property that enables water to be drawn from a saucer or a capillary bed towards the top of pot. The coir can easily reabsorb water even when it is completely dry. Coir dust is evaluated as a lightweight material. and its total porosity was above 94% by volume. It is also exhibited a high air content capacity, and also the water holding capacity of a coir ranged from 1% to 36% by volume and 137 to 786 milliliter per liter respectively. The physical property of coir will strongly depend on the particle size distribution, and total water holding capacity declined proportionally with increasing coarseness index.
Basically, in our experiment, we had tried to make a natural SAB out of orange peel and avocado skin. All of us know that the orange peel contain pectin to a large extent. They contain 63% of pectin. In our project, we had sliced 3 oranges and peeled them. The peels were cut and 15 ml of lemon juice was added to it. After leaving this for 1 hour, the peels were boiled for 45 minutes in a stainless steel pot. After boiling, the excess liquid was strained out of the peels using a cheesecloth. Next, we mixed orange peels and avocado skin and sun-dried them for 14 days. This is for photopolymerization and emulsion polymerization to take place. The sun-dried product along with the liquid extracted earlier were mixed and baked in an oven at 180 degrees Celsius for about 20 minutes. The final product was crushed into a powder. Now, this product was further allowed to mix physically with the earlier sun-dried mixture to add on the effect. And this is the substance that we are now left with is nothing but a highly efficient natural super absorbent polymer.
Apparatus required: physical balance, perforated plastic cups, styrofoam bowls, filter paper, soil samples, ingredients to increase water retention.
Step 1. Place round filter paper and fix it to the internal perforated floor of the cups. The weight of the cup and the filter paper is noted. The cup is then filled with soil by tapping the cup briskly and making plain the top of soil and find out its weight. Step 2. Place the set of perforated cups in bowl. Pour the water in bowl at half of the height of the cup. Water may rise in cup through perforated bottom and moist the soil to its capacity. Keep it for 5 to 6 hours in water. Step 3. Take the cups and place it on a filter paper sheet so that the excess water may drain away from the pores within half an hour. The cups containing moist soil is weighted and the weight is noted. And the step 4 is add different concentrations of additives to the soil samples and repeat the same procedure.
We have collected samples from 3 different places, which includes sample 1, which is playground, sample 2, housing colony, and sample 3, greenhouse. And then we have added 3 different substances to them, which include vermiculite, coir, and cow dung in different proportions. And using the experiments we have explained earlier, we have calculated the water retention capacity in all cases. From that, we have plotted a graph against percentage of substance added and percentage of water retained. From the data we have collected, we can see that in sample 1, the normal water retention capacity without any additives added is only 18.236%, and in the sample 2, which is collected from housing colony, it is 32.35%, whereas in the sample 3, which is collected from greenhouse, it is only 20.538%. And after adding the substances ingredients we have used, we have plotted the graph against percentage of substance added and percentage of water retention. From the graph, we know that we need approximately 35 to 40% of water retention capacity to grow most of the plants for gardening purposes. So let's take the case of playground. When you added vermiculite, to get 35 to 40% of water retention, we need 25 to 30% of vermiculite to be added to the soil. While in the case of coir, to get 35 to 40%, we only need 1.4 to 1.8% of coir. While in the case of cow dung, to get 35 to 40%, we need 13 to 16% of cow dung to be added to the soil. Similarly, in the case of sample 2, which was collected from housing colony, we can conclude that coir is the best substance among all the three, which on adding very low concentration increases the water retention capacity in a very high amount. And in the sample 3 also, the case is very much similar. Thus, we concluded that coir is the best substance among all the three which you can use to get required amount of water retention capacity on addition of very less amount.
Finally, we conclude different areas in NISER have different water retention capacity. Playground has the least water retention capacity and housing area has the most. Among the substances we tested, we found least amount of coir is required to gain a very high water retention capacity. Thus, coir is more suited for NISER soil. In the graphs, we observed that the slope of the graph decreases at a certain percentage of substance. That means that efficiency of these substances decreases with the increase in their percentage in soil.